best scoring South Korea has gotten. Like, they got second place the moment Tuna hopped off the team, and he was consistently the best player on the team year after year. So
imagine if this tier's team had Tuna and Karuna. Like,
yeah.
they actually would have won the tournament. I think they actually would have won the tournament. As close as they came without them, and that's two of the best players they've historically had. Like, you can't understate how good Tuna is and how good Karuna was. Yeah. So, I mean, if they had them as well, oh my lord.
It's the same thing, though. Like, you bring back Vaxei, what happens?
Yeah. Peak USA, it's a shame, kind of, that some of these countries have never had like all of their stars at the same time. You can talk about like 2019 USA, I suppose, as the best team they've ever had, because Vaxei and Idki both were at some of their best performances ever. But imagine those two plus Fancy Lad at peak plus Utami at peak. You know, imagine South Korea flying Tuna at peak, Karcher at peak, Worst HR player at peak. Like, it's
that's
pretty
what makes
scary.
It so extraordinary, though. Like, it's crazy that, you know, Decatan can roll up here and live up to Vaxei's legend. You know, these United States players are replacing one of the best names this game has ever seen, and they're still coming in here and setting these ridiculous scores. So it's the turnover that really makes OWC. They have to go in there and live up to these legends, you know, and it's exactly what they've done another year in a row. So it's awesome. We are getting into the tiebreaker showcase here, though. Like, if we saw this tiebreaker, dude, I'd be freaking out. Like, if this actually got to happen, and it was almost there.
I actually think this would have been Korea favored again as well, much like the semifinal tiebreaker was. Got a little of those tech elements to it. There is somebody out there who will be very mad at me if they hear me call this a tech map, but it has tech elements, which are South Korea's like bread and butter.
Yeah, definitely a bit technical, I would say this map is. So
high technological mapping.
Who knows, dude? HR player, he might have just absolutely stormed them on this. It's all for next year. We'll see what happens next year, dude.
It's always the most exciting part of the OSU standard year, right? Seeing the rosters and having all the discussion and the predictions and the analysis beforehand, and then it just getting thrown out the window because of teams that show up and perform the way that South Korea did this year, or that perform the way that Romania did this year from the 11th seed getting into the top 6, or Poland, getting the 2nd seed and showing up and getting 4th place, like really finally making a name for themselves after having a couple of rough years since they won back in 2017. Like, the storylines of this year were amazing. So you can only think about what's going to happen next year as these players continue to grow and improve and develop over the next 12 months.
Yeah, the best part is I guarantee you, we don't know the player that's going to step up next year. Like, he's definitely not in this lobby. He or she will be, you never know, the next prodigy is going to spawn for next year's OWC, and not knowing who that is, having them pop up out of nowhere, form in OWC is the coolest part. It's the most exciting part. Because a year for players nowadays, a year of grinding with the maps that we have now, the potential is limitless for these players, you know?
And think of the motivation as well for these players in some of these countries that historically haven't had this level of success and now are continuing to hold on to their success. Whether you're a Romanian player who wants to become the next Badu or next Eternum, or you're doing? We said this was going to be a good map for him in South Korea, and this is exactly why. But if you're, an American player that is on that grind against all the other amazing American tournament players, like, the motivation has to be incredible from seeing what these teams are capable of. And Worst HR player is just emblematic of that, showing up in this tournament and playing the way that he has, and showing up on this tiebreaker and putting up 1,700 combo, finally breaking.
Yeah, I mean, they were winning. You never know what happened, but...
I really thought that South Korea would win this if it went to tiebreaker, because this is the type of map that they'd be really good at. So USA needed to win one of those last couple points.
Yeah. No, I'm calling it now. Next year's winner will be New Zealand, just out of nowhere. They just get 2 MREX.
Saiku gonna be Saiku and Zoomer are gonna be the OWC carries.
Yep. two new MRECs for them next year.
Who's our investment targets from New Zealand? Gotta find out. Yeah, I don't know. We come into the last moments of the tiebreaker. We'll be quickly making our way to the end of another incredible World Cup.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Azer, as an organizer, as a map pooler, somebody incredibly involved with all the background? What do you think about this year, and any last words about this tournament?
It was a wild ride for sure. It was a very time-consuming wild ride. Yeah, I mean,
South Korea wins the tiebreaker. Oh my god!
I'm very excited about like the quality of play. It's both excited and scared. It's really difficult to like balance a map pool around people like this,